The Hawks taking the Parisian Zacharyrisacher with the number 1 overall pick in the draft. What are your expectations for him? So I've got perfume, bandwidth, and Mr. Clean. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will knock you out. We are going to knock you out. Now, I don't know if you're like me. Watching this NBA draft, I was struggling to stay awake. I needed to take a caffeine supplement to stay awake. My first thought on the overall draft, and then obviously the Hawks with the number 1 pick because we obsess about who goes first, that Zachary, he's got his work cut out for him. I have no expectations. Zero. Zippo. Bupkis. I look at this guy, and I'm like, he's like steak, but undercooked steak. Needs more time to stay in the oven there. Not ready for consumption. And I went on YouTube. I fell down a rabbit hole. I was watching some of the clips of random games in Paris that he played in. And Risacher was, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't. I would like to say I was. I couldn't get over his build. I realize people get heavier and fill out their bodies as they get older. But you draft a player number 1, you're expecting to get He-Man. Atlanta drafted Skeletor with the number 1 overall pick. He's spindly. That's his build. And there's question marks. I was reading some of the scouting reports about his toughness and intensity. And it's always difficult when you draft a player, number 1, who's not all that intense and not really into it. That's a huge red flag. And I look at the guy, and I'm like, okay, I wanted to buy in. I didn't buy in. He looks to me like, as the saying goes, just another drug on the market. That for the number 1 overall pick, that's not great value. It's not. And this is the kind of guy that's a dime a dozen in a typical NBA draft. Back in the old days, I realize times have changed, but in the olden days, this cat would have been a maybe end of the lottery, late first-round pick, developmental player. You can put him in the weight room, and maybe he'll be okay, but not in the pole position, right? And overall, France joining USA. But France joining the U.S. is the only country to have 3 players drafted in the top 10 of the NBA draft, and many people in the media going crazy with that. It didn't get me all tingly. I don't know about you. Now, if I was doing the show in Paris, I would think differently. I am not. The first round of the NBA draft, here's the way I would describe it. Unwatchable, right? State-funded basketball media were spraying Gucci perfume all over the garbage, right? They had the high-end perfume there. It was underwhelming. If there was a soundtrack to the first round of the NBA draft, it was elevator music was what it was. Okay. Now, continuing to slice it up, we'll get to the Komodo dragon in the room. Page 2 here. What is your reaction to Bronny James not being drafted? He was snubbed in the first round. Now, I was actually surprised. I was. And here's why. It seemed like some strings were going to be pulled. Maybe I miscalculated LeBron James and his influence. Because following the preamble leading up to this event, it was 6 degrees of Bronny James, the spawn of Bron, the greatest backup guard to average less than 5 points a game to ever grace the NBA draft. DNA. 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 He's got LeBron's DNA. How much bandwidth was used to try to hypnotize and mesmerize the great unwashed with the belief that this peasant of a basketball player is really a prince? Well, it hasn't worked out yet. We still have the second round, which will be going on later on Thursday. You have to believe that calls are being made. LeBron will be sending text messages all night, calling in favors to protect the family name. And this is the first, again, of a 2-day draft. The first 2-day draft, I believe, in modern NBA history. No one asked for this, but we have it. Second round is such a dud. It's such a dud that they are burying it in the dreaded afternoon television window. Now, you normally don't put things on that people want to watch in the afternoon because most people well, it's a live event. It's not like on demand, right? On demand, you watch it whenever you want, but the NBA draft, you're supposed to consume the product live. It's much like fast food. The further you get away from it, from the restaurant, the worse the food tastes. Same concept applies for the NBA draft. The further you get away from it, the worse it is. And so good luck on that. And, of course, we as overnight gas bags and blowhards here, we will monitor round 2, but we will not obsess with round 2. Now, one other addendum as we put a bow on the package here on the opening round of the NBA draft. The last word on this, Memphis grabbing John R. Wooden Award winner and the guy I voted for from Purdue. I'm sick and tired of losing to Purdue. And maybe you're not, but I am. Purdue big man Zach Edey was the number 9 overall pick. Will he be an impact player with the Grizz? So I'm not going to go that far. Impact player, no. No. I certainly do not see that. Nevertheless, I'm going to be Benny Brightside. I'm pulling for the big poutine, the Canadian lad. Not as fine a Canadian lad as our caller Cowboy John Bread in Windsor, Ontario, but a large Mountie. A large human being, Zach Edey, 7'4". Right now, he's a plodder, plodding along. He's never going to have foot speed. He's not going to have any real lateral movement. That'll never be his superpower. But I look at him and I was like, if the Grizzlies really want to squeeze everything out of that ability, then Edey has the ability to transform into a burly bruiser and play to your strengths. Play the hits, my man. Play the hits. Become Mr. Clean. Now, how do you become Mr. Clean? You are the human eraser. You're the magic eraser. You get all the rebounds. You get those cheap points where you get the rebound, offensive rebound, put baskets in, and you just kind of hang around the rim. And there's no reason that Zach Edey can't be that kind of guy. Now, he's a defensive liability because he has no lateral movement, and everyone will run right by him. But you can play zone defense in the NBA, so in theory, you could put his giant, big poutine booty in the painted area and just kind of have him camp out there. La, 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 la. And just, it doesn't really matter that much anyway in the modern NBA. It's a pop-a-shot league. It's not about going to the basket. It's about shooting three-point shots from the parking lot. That's what's more important to the nerds, and the nerds run the NBA. And so Zach Edey, though, his ability to stand in the middle there and be an intimidator, it's not going to be that important because most of the time it's just jump shots from the outside.